My name is Julie North, and I'm 58 years old. Currently, I work as a neurologist at a university hospital in the United States. Right now, I'm taking a longer vacation to accompany my daughter, Mia, on her short-term study abroad. It's been years since I last visited. I stopped by the university hospital where I used to work, which holds many nostalgic yet painful memories for me. I had coffee at the hospital's cafe terrace, where I used to take breaks when I worked there. 18 years have passed, and while the view outside has changed slightly, the clear, blue sky remains the same, reminding me of those words suddenly uttered by my ex-husband. Choosing a child born from a young parent over one from an older parent due to the excellence of the younger generation. I was stunned by his sudden statement. "What do you mean?" "Huh? Just what I said. You're a doctor, you should understand the high risks of late pregnancy." "You're not talking about the risks to the mother or the birth itself, but..." "Yes. It's about the child's abilities." "What? What are you talking about now? You knew this from the beginning when we wanted children. That's why we went through fertility treatments." "Well, yes, that's true. I did want children. Then, the situation has changed." "I don't understand what you mean." I truly didn't understand. We were a couple of doctors, myself a neurologist and my ex-husband a plastic surgeon. My ex-husband opened a cosmetic clinic in New York and took a new step as a cosmetic surgeon, and at the same time, we started trying to have children. However, it wasn't easy, and after 2 years of hoping for a child, I finally got pregnant at 40 through fertility treatment. We cried tears of joy for the long-awaited pregnancy, and my ex-husband became overly protective until I reached a stable period. Seeing him like that, people from our workplaces, friends, and families joked, it's going to be even tougher when the baby arrives. Yet, a few months later, I found myself in a situation where I was confronted with those opening words. "You really didn't notice?" "Notice what?" "The things I've been doing outside. You knew, didn't you?" I couldn't have been unaware. But in a few months, our family was going to grow. I knew something had to change, so I gathered my courage and waited up many nights for my ex-husband to come home late so we could talk. That day, I was waiting for him again. "Welcome home. You're up?" "Yeah. I was thinking we should talk." Whether he knew of my feelings or not, I got a nonchalant okay in response. "Today, I got a notice about a class at the hospital. Tom, won't you go?" "Huh? Most husbands are participating. So I thought you might." "I'm not going." "What?" I said I'm not interested. "Not interested?" "I'm a doctor, right? I've seen countless children as patients. I don't have any problems with kids, so why bother?" "But raising our own child from a newborn is completely different. I'm a doctor too, but I can hardly imagine what giving birth or raising a child is like." "That's your feeling. I feel different. I'll be fine, so I'm not going." That's it. My ex-husband, clearly uninterested, exerted a silent pressure, but I pressed on. "A colleague mentioned they thought you were having an affair." "What?" "They said they saw you in the middle of the week, in downtown, walking arm in arm with a young girl, entering a department store, looking happy shopping together." "Really? So, what? Is that person stalking me?" "No. They just happened to see you because they had errands in the same department store." "But they snitched on you, right? Using the word affair without knowing if it's true. If it's not, that's defamation, you know?" "What? That's not the point." "It is. You're suspecting me based on some uncertain story. So, it's not true?" "Who knows?" "What?" "Look, my clinic promotes beauty, so naturally, we have a lot of young female staff. You know how scary women can get? To keep the peace, I have to treat everyone equally. As the owner, it's my duty to provide meals, shopping trips, and some relaxation time to acknowledge the hard work of running a popular clinic, right?" "So, you're doing the same with other staff members, not just the one my colleague saw?" "Well, you could say that." "So, you're neglecting our family for them?" "Without them, our clinic wouldn't survive. They're essentially supporting our income, which means they're supporting our household, right? To say I'm neglecting our family for that seems a bit off, doesn't it?" My ex-husband said this with a smirk, making the most appalling statements seem reasonable. What does he mean by relaxation time? Is sneaking into a hotel considered relaxation? A colleague mentioned seeing him enter a hotel with a woman. The hotel they mentioned was one he often used for business meals. The moment I heard it, I instantly knew it was true, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. I believe he started doing these things shortly after opening the clinic. Having money, my husband turned his attention outward all at once. Since then, he spent even less time at home, whether it was because he was hiding less or for some other reason. And then, back to that opening statement. One day, when he came home, he immediately called out for me to come to the bedroom. Come out. Curious, I opened the door, only to find a very young, flashy woman sitting on the sofa with a smirk. The person my colleague mentioned? My ex-husband reacted to my quiet murmur. Quick on the uptake. Yes, this girl will become my official wife. And she's already pregnant. I see. And what about me? We're getting a divorce. You think you can just decide that on a whim? It's not on a whim. I have to take responsibility for her. What about your responsibility to me? Money, huh? What? If it's money you want, I'll give you plenty. There's the divorce settlement, after all. I could even give some to the child she's carrying. A child born from an outdated concept. I'll give enough to cover whatever little they might need. With that, he laid a completed divorce form on the table in front of me, implying I should sign it and disappear. The woman looked at me with a smirk, whispering, creepy. I couldn't stand being in the same space with these people anymore, and more importantly, after what had happened, I realized it was utterly impossible to consider a future with the man in front of me as my husband and part of a family. Things moved quickly from there. We agreed to involve lawyers in our discussions, and I ended up keeping the divorce papers. Not wanting my unborn child to be exposed to this environment for even a second longer, I quickly packed my essential belongings into a suitcase and left the house as soon as we had come to an agreement. And now, 18 years later, returning to this place, I never imagined I'd have a chance encounter here. As I was lost in thought, I noticed someone approaching my seat. The moment I turned to look. Julie? I heard a voice I never wanted to hear again. It was my ex-husband, whom I hadn't seen since that day. It's been a while. I managed to utter a non-committal greeting, unable to just ignore him. He took a step closer, smiled faintly, and spoke again. What? Crawled back here? What? You went overseas after that, right? Felt the limit and ran back to your alma mater for help? His twisted smile mocked me, vividly revealing his true nature, reminding me of the last time I saw him, and I felt a heavy weight in my gut. Just a regular trip home. My child had some things to do too, and we're here together today. The child from back then? Who else? Huh. Together, you say? What business? Does the kid have something? A sickness? What? I was speechless at his audacity. The words about choosing a superior child over one born from an older pregnancy, my ex-husband's words from that time, came flooding back, causing my chest to ache anew. As I struggled for words, I heard footsteps from behind. Mom? Mia. And who might you be? Mia must have seen a stranger seemingly berating me as I sat hunched over in my chair. With utmost caution towards my ex-husband, Mia checked on the man. When my ex-husband caught sight of Mia, he looked at me quizzically. I couldn't help but smirk at him as I said, "This is Mia North, my daughter and, biologically, your daughter as well." My words left my ex-husband with his eyes popping out in shock. It wasn't surprising. Even just by looks, Mia was tall and possessed a radiant beauty. Plus, if he's been around here, he might have heard the rumors about her. He carefully chose his words before asking again. Mia North, as in the one doing a stint in the surgical research lab? Spot on. Mia North, who got a temporary placement in the surgical research lab for her study abroad. I couldn't help but laugh at my stunned ex-husband. The child he had discarded was now an outstanding medical student after 18 years. Moreover, he had assumed that a child from an older pregnancy would not be excellent, perhaps even born with disadvantages. He could never have imagined that such a child would become a beautiful medical student. Surprising, isn't it? To think that the woman you left because of her late pregnancy and your talk of superiority and inferiority has, well, you know? That's... And Mia, she skipped grades. She's in her second year of med school at 18, already graduated from college. What? I couldn't help but smile at his genuinely puzzled reaction. Oh? Not familiar with the education system? Shut up. I thought you would surely know. I apologized with a light-hearted sorry as he bit his lip in frustration. He was a man of pride. Even during our marriage, he couldn't hide his displeasure at the slightest word from me, and that attitude hasn't changed even as he approaches 60, making me sigh softly. This girl, she graduated high school at 15 and finished college at 17. Despite being raised by a single parent, she really did her best. She's not just beautiful on the outside, but she's also an incredible person inside. That was truly how I felt. Mia was my pride and joy. Yet, the man in front of me couldn't resist throwing a bitter and unwarranted accusation. I bet you used your influence as a doctor to get her in there. What? You're a professor or something over there, right? With that kind of power, you could make anything happen, whether it's high school, college, or med school. Don't underestimate me. What? I said, don't lump me in with you. What? That's you, isn't it? Shoehorned into the bottom tier of some fancy high school, and barely making it into a college, let alone a medical or dental school. Your parents had to throw money around just to get you into a low-ranking private medical school in the countryside. How do you know that? Over there, I met someone who went to middle and high school with you. I heard all about it. Caught off guard by this boomerang, my ex-husband seemed to be frantically searching for who could have spilled the beans, asking like a child. I ignored him, finding his desperation annoying, and took a sip of my coffee. The familiar taste brought a moment of calm to my frayed nerves. One of the hospitals affiliated with the university wanted me to start working at the university hospital right away, but I was pregnant, remember? So, they suggested I teach some university classes while working part-time at the clinic. It just so happened they knew about me. Of course, I didn't know this person at all, and when I asked why they knew me, it turned out they had researched my background upon hearing a neurologist was coming over, and that's how they learned about my marriage and spouse. I heard a lot, you know? Like how you bullied others just because you were a bit wealthy, or how you threw money around to play with girls. My husband's family owned land in the countryside, making them quite wealthy locally with power and money to spare. And as an only child, he was spoiled rotten, fitting the stereotype of a bully perfectly. Who told you that? Get lost. It doesn't matter who. You're famous for it, aren't you? Among your classmates and friends. So anyone could have told me the same story, right? I continued speaking, silencing him as if to stop any further objections. That person told me you were used. What? At first, I was like, what? Wondering what they were talking about. But after hearing them out, it made sense. You, coming from the countryside, and me, having lived in New York all my life. We met at a new workplace, and I knew nothing about you. My ignorance of your past was convenient for you, wasn't it? Yeah, so what? Once it's out, it's out. Right, we were both new at the workplace, and I had just come from the countryside with no one I knew. And you, just as new, didn't know anything about my lousy past or who I really am. I thought you were convenient for me. So what? Faced with his defiance, I pressed on. It's not just that, is it? What? You wanted an excellent child. A child to overshadow your own complexes, to erase the inferiority you felt. That's why you wanted me. No, you wanted my status and genes, didn't you? You wanted the superior status and genes I had, the complete opposite of yours, right? Don't be absurd. Don't say stupid things in front of the child. What? In front of the child? This isn't something you should let her hear. Trying to protect his pride after all this time. The shallowness of this man makes me sick to my stomach. Don't worry. Mia knows everything. What? She knows you wanted a superior child and abandoned Mia and me. She knows everything about your past and present. What? You told her everything? I simply stated the facts. Before she was even born, you were gone. It's not like she wouldn't realize something was up. Besides, you can't fool a smart kid like Mia. My ex-husband's loud exclamation echoed in the quiet cafe terrace. Then, having been silent until now, Mia began to speak. Isn't that pathetic? What? I asked if you think that's not pathetic. What? Why should I be lectured by a kid like you? Because even someone you consider a child can see how pathetic your way of living is. He probably never expected to be told off by a child. My ex-husband was grinding his teeth in anger, his face turning red. Mia, looking at him with a detached gaze, continued. Just like Mom said, I know everything. Not just about the past, but also what's happening right now. What? I never imagined you would go crying to the professor I'm going to work with. Your clinic went under, didn't it? What? The decline in clients due to numerous failed plastic surgeries, fraudulent accounting, and investment failures. Well, it all started 18 years ago, didn't it? How can you say that? It all started when you left Mom and chose a new partner. Oh, wrong. It started when you got blinded by easy money at the clinic and got dazzled by women who were after your money. Their presence turned you into a money-hungry monster, leading to the loss of everything. Being called out by an 18-year-old, my ex-husband's face turned from red to a deeper shade of crimson, and finally, his lips began to tremble. Really, your pride is something else. Why don't you admit it? I'm a jerk. I'm the kind of jerk who ruins people's lives. That's why it's all coming back to haunt you now, you get it? What? Ruin lives? Thanks to our separation, Julie became a professor in America, and you're attending med school at the tender age of 18. It's all thanks to me. What? Don't joke. What? That's just the outcome, not thanks to you. Sure, the divorce might have been a catalyst, but my acceptance into a university was the result of my mother's hard work, and my ability to attend med school at my age is due to my own efforts and because my mother always looked out for me. She's always been considerate and hardworking, which is why so many good things have come her way. Unlike someone who easily discards people and even ruins workplaces, ending up in such a pathetic situation despite clinging to their petty pride. This was the first time I had seen Mia like this. Though she might become passionate during discussions about differing opinions, I had never seen her raise her voice in anger. She had always taken in what she heard about her circumstances calmly, but surely, she must have been upset at times. Yet, it was about her own situation, never imagining she saw and thought of me in such a way. But my ex-husband, unable to contain his emotions even in the face of Mia's logical argument, blurted out. What? You wouldn't even exist without me. It's all thanks to me, you got that. How can you say such things to your child? It's okay, Mom. I don't mind. I'm indeed grateful for being born, but, to be precise, my gratitude is more towards my grandparents who supported you all these years. What? He hadn't expected the conversation to turn towards his parents. He froze, as if hit by a sudden realization. After you left, my in-laws actually kept in touch and cared for Mia. Well, you wouldn't know since you cut ties with them after our divorce. What? You were in touch with my parents. You turned them against me, didn't you? To get them on your side. What? No. Your parents disowned you because you discarded a smart and beautiful wife like me for a younger, foolish woman after getting dazzled by youth and pretense. What? They were disappointed in a son who barely managed to graduate from a medical school he was shoehorned into with money, struggled through numerous private lessons to pass his medical exams, and then whined to his parents until they opened a cosmetic clinic for him. And when you started earning big from the cosmetic surgery boom, you resumed your old habits of playing around with women, hiring nurses and staff based on whether you liked them or not, creating your own harem. The final straw was impregnating a nurse 2 decades your junior and abandoning your family. And for those women, you even ruined the clinic your parents built for you. What more could your grandparents possibly do to help? Mia's rapid-fire recounting of his sordid past left my ex-husband stammering incoherently. Watching him struggle, Mia looked on with disdain, suddenly becoming calm or perhaps overwhelmed by the absurdity of the situation. My ex-husband made an unbelievable request. Then you help me. What? You heard in the lab, didn't you? After losing the clinic, I've been struggling to find work. I suppose it must be tough, having to beg at the former workplace of your ex-wife. Right? Everyone's cold. So, if you, a promising and highly respected daughter of Julie, said you wanted to help your father after an unfortunate separation, they'd surely lend a hand, moved by the story. Hearing such delusional talk, Mia and I exchanged looks and sighed. Pathetic. What? To beg a child you abandoned and haven't thought of until now. It's disgraceful, pathetic, and just wow. Shut up. What do you know about me? I don't understand, I don't want to understand, and I never plan to understand. A doctor who can't empathize with others and only thinks of himself, causing medical accidents? I don't want to understand someone like that. And crying to Mia? That's ridiculous. Don't you have a brilliant child of your own? You should ask them for help. My child. It's impossible. They barely made it into a mid-tier private women's college. Oh. More money? What? So, you solved it with money again? What? I paid, so there's no problem. My ex-husband, reminded of his past, heatedly retorted, his face turning red again. Originally, such matters shouldn't be resolved with money. Trying to solve people's futures with money is just wrong. I think there are things money can't solve. What? Do you know one of your medical accidents involving a relative of my professor? What? It was the child of Professor Yagaki's niece. They had surgery at your clinic and ended up with facial muscle abnormalities. Wait, that case I couldn't solve with money. Seems like you've been running from the issue by closing your clinic. But you know, medical professionals are connected somehow, somewhere. I even ended up connected to one of your associates in America. Imagine domestically. Whether my words were registering or not, my ex-husband began to sweat profusely, his face pale, his eyes unable to settle. It's okay. What? It's going to turn out just like you imagine. Huh? Are you too scared to even speak? You caused this, no need to be scared now. If it benefits you, you don't care about others' bodies, right? Just try to keep that dark spirit of yours even behind bars. Wait. I really am. Your time is probably coming soon. You've been too busy securing your job to notice you're being pursued. You're joking, right? This kind of malicious story isn't a joke. You don't need to look for work anymore. You won't be able to work anyway. It's a lie. If you think it's a lie, then keep thinking that until it happens. For now, enjoy your precious family time. Having said what I wanted to say, I touched Mia's arm, signaling it was time to leave. Mia, touching my hand with her other hand, gave me a gentle, small smile. After that, Mia returned home after completing her 2-month medical study abroad. It was awesome. The food is delicious, and the people are kind. The teachers and seniors are all so polite, and the discussions are fascinating. Seriously, I might consider moving overseas in the future. That's great, glad you went. I'll have to make sure to pass on my thanks to the professors. While saying this, Mia grimaced at the sweetness juice she was drinking for the first time in a while. By the way, he got caught, huh? Yes, he did. While Mia was abroad, my ex-husband had been arrested. It seems the news and talk shows were abuzz with the fact that his failed cosmetic clinic was involved in multiple medical accidents implicating medical professionals. Mia must have had more than her fill of hearing and seeing this news during her studies. But this unexpected byproduct of her trip was a part of being 18. Until now, she had been too mature, trying too hard. Certainly, utilizing one's abilities is crucial, but after over 30 years as a doctor, I keenly feel that medical practice must be accompanied by humanity. Medical acts are meant to help people's lives, and at the heart of it all are the people themselves. Mia will undoubtedly grow significantly as a person in the future. As a parent and a senior in the medical profession, I intend to silently support her from behind and, at times, walk alongside her. My secret support activity. It's going to be a lifelong endeavor.